Hello subscribers, I'm doing a little bit of Fortaeverse coding and thought I might as well just record some while I'm doing it. So I'm actually working on quests right now and I'm putting in the infrastructure to handle that. So basically quests have multiple types of things that can trigger them, and what I need to do now is put in the database access for doing this. And so that's what I'm doing. Always lots of copying and pasting when I take existing methods and copy them and then modify them. Alright, so the game's going to keep track of all the quests that you have started, all the quests that you have completed, and all the quests you have failed. And the reason for that is for a couple reasons, really. One is some quests are going to be shared where multiple people can go on them at the same time. And then whoever completes it first wins and gets the reward of that quest. The other reason is there's going to be a place to see kind of like Hall of Fame for various things and how well you've done, so people can basically have bragging rights. You know, I know some people are into that, some aren't, but since it's a massive multiplayer online game, there's no reason to not have a Hall of Fame on various things. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just putting in all the infrastructure for that. So a player can either have started, completed, or failed. And incidentally, a quest could actually expire too. So if nobody completes it in a given amount of time, then it'll fail for everyone. And quests are almost always granted by people or other life forms. So typically you need to parlay with someone in order to get a quest. So I have to put in triggers for that. And we don't want the computer to be dumb and do things like give you the quest twice, or ask you for the quest twice, or give you multiple rewards. That'd be a bad deal. Now some quests are personal, so that not everybody is sharing them. So I'm putting that in the infrastructure too. And there's going to be a good mix of both. So you may get a unique quest that's only for you, it'll never expire, you have all the time in the world. Or there could be some maybe bigger or quicker quest that's time sensitive and multiple players can do it. And whoever finishes all the requirements of that quest and meets up with the person to parlay with them to say they're done wins the quest. Alright, so enough of that. Get player quests by player ID. We need to do that. Now normally when you're coding, just to let you know, anybody doing Java or really any kind of coding, you generally don't want to do what I just did here and do a SQL statement with a string, because it can fall to what's called a SQL injection attack. But that can't happen with my framework because of the way I've programmed it. I check for SQL injection attacks, so it just can't happen. That's the nice thing about making your own framework. So I can do this, no worries. Alright, and SQL injection attack is basically a type of security, or a breach of security, which obviously you don't want to have happen. Okay, so I can get the player quest by the player ID now. And I'm also going to get player quests by quest ID, because what that'll do is if multiple people are on the same quest and one person completes it, I need to say everybody else failed. So we're going to put that in as part of the infrastructure. Okay, that should take care of that. So now I'm going to go back to my game engine where I'm actually dealing with this stuff. Okay, so what I'm looking for now is parlay triggered. So just to kind of give you background on how this is going to work. So every second on the server, there's a timer that's running, it's a thread that's running, and it loops through all the potential events that can fire, and then it tests the requirements of those events to make sure that either something's in the position where it can fire or something is there that causes it to happen. The parlay is a little different because it relies on you actually talking with someone actively. So you have to go up to someone and say enter parlay mode, and when you do that, if you already have started a quest with that person, then it's going to check to see if you've completed it, if it's expired, if it's failed, things of that nature. And so that's what I'm coding right now. So what it does is if it is parlay triggered, this event, then it's going to get all the event action requirement types. Now a requirement type can be all kinds of different things. Let me just do a search to show you. So it could be all kinds of things, and I have to program logic for all this, but basically it could be, does a party member have an attribute that's above a certain level? Does, you can just read them here. Is there a hostile life form that has an attribute level below something? Is the party in a battle? Is the quest completed? Is it failed? Has it been started? Is the battle round above a certain round? So you can see there's all kinds of things. Is the party resting? Is it walking? Is it stopped? So all these different triggers has an item, has a spell, am at a given location or position, is a certain sex, is a certain race, all kinds of things. So I'm actually going to be using, in this case, is the quest completed, failed, or started. And then, like, let's say, for example, there's a quest to, I'll just give you a hint on one of the quests I'm doing now. So there's going to be an old man that is desperately trying to find his wife's necklace that was stolen from her or lost. And it's an heirloom. And basically you need to find it. And whoever finds it first and brings it to him gets a reward. So that type of quest is going to use the has item check. And so it's going to check for a certain item. And it'll be a unique item. So whichever player is the first to find that in the game world will complete that quest. Think about like how Might and Magic 4 works, and there's, I've been playing that a lot lately on the stream. How there's all kinds of mini quests. Well, this is going to be that times 100. I mean, there's going to be so many different kinds of quests. So that's what part of these requirement types are. So if we go back and look at a quest, quests not only have a type, but they have this flag to say if they're shareable, which means there are multiple people on the same quest. And then who gave the quest, it points to that. Because you need to parley with that person. You don't want to just be parleying with anybody and then all of a sudden it trigger quest things. Then, when you do request a quest, there's an offer event that fires. And the offer event's going to be something like, if you do this, you're going to get this amount of money. Please, will you do this for me? And it'll have text and maybe some graphics and things of that nature describing what needs to happen. So that fires just the first time you ask him for the quest. If you accept the quest, which is what this flag is here, then it's going to do something else. So then he'll tell you more. He'll describe the quest. Maybe he'll even give you something to help you with the quest. Or it could trigger other things. Events can trigger other events. So it can get pretty complicated. Now, I have something called a non-completion event. And what that is, if I can get it selected here, that is for coming back to the same NPC before you have completed the quest. So you started it, and you accepted, but you haven't completed. So when you come back to him, he's going to say something else like, did you find it yet? Please hurry, that kind of thing. Which is very typical. You'll see that in a lot of games. Then I have what's called failure from expiration. So if the quest has a time set on it and nobody completes it in time, then this event will fire. Like let's say, for example, there was a war that's going to break out at a certain period of time, and the quest is for you to be a diplomat and to get the parties to agree and have a peace treaty. And you don't do it in time, then maybe a war is going to break out and all kinds of different events are going to cascade. Then there's failure from a competitor completing the event, but you not completing the event. An example of that would be you come back to the guy that wants you to find his necklace, and he says, I've got great news, someone found my wife's necklace. I'm sorry it wasn't you, you don't get the reward. But, someone else did it. So that's an example of that type of event that would fire. And then finally, there's a success complete event. And that is if you're successful, then when you return to him, it's going to give you reward, experience, whatever he wants to do. And it may even trigger another quest. Like think of Pools of Radiance, where you go back to the town hall after you complete a quest, she'll give you another one. So it'll kind of be like that potentially. And then I have this other complete event, which happens right when the other person successfully completes the event. So let's say, I'm trying to think of an example of that. Basically, it could kind of kick you off the quest and change the game world in other ways that are not related to the success of the event itself. So I know that's kind of vague, but that's what that's about. So anyway, let's get back to doing some coding here. Let's check out what I'm going to do next. So I got all the requirement types, and then I'm testing them to see if they execute. If they all have to be true, unless I have conjunction set to say only one of them needs to be true. Because for some quests, you only need to do some. You don't need to do all of them. Maybe you met one requirement out of 3. And then other quests, maybe there's 5 requirements. So that's what this is going to be. So let's go take a look at this and see if I've coded any of it. Doesn't look like I've coded any. Well, here's the test action requirement. This is the specific. Yeah, here we go. So I've listed them all in here. And I have started to code some. You can see, like, has strength level. Right there, it checks the party member to see if they have a certain strength level. And if not, then return false. So I have done that. So let's add in the quest ones here. put it at the end. I think I called it started quest. Double check that. Oh, it's quest started. Alright, so if quest is started, we have the event action and the requirement. So the foreign key is going to point to the quest. So we're just going to say quest ID is the foreign key on that event action. And now we need to do what I was telling you earlier and get the quests by ID. Get player quests by quest ID. We're going to use the foreign key there. I put null checks around everything because if you don't, the game can become a lot more unstable. So if this returns something, then we know that the player's on that quest and that it has started. Now I'm going to actually add another method here called get player quests by player ID and quest ID, so I can limit it even more. Okay. So now I need to get the player's ID, and we can get that based on the party that I passed in here, m.getPlayerID. In fact, I'm going to save a line of code there and just do it all in one line. Get player ID. And I'm trying to think if I want to allow computers to be able to do it. That's an interesting concept. I don't think so, not in this initial version at least. But it would be pretty interesting to have the computer also be able to compete on quests. So what I'll do for now is, I'll make sure that that it's an actual player and not a computer. Okay, so if quest is not equal null and quest.size is greater than 0, then they are on this quest most likely. We still need to check it to make sure. For whatever reason, if the database shows that the flag isn't set to started, then we don't want to do it. So what we're going to do now is loop through. There should really only be one of these because I passed in the quest ID, but you never know. I always like to be safe. Quests. So if it's completed, and we're going to see when it passes. False. So really, if it completed equals false, then we're just going to return false immediately. Otherwise, it'll default to true. Okay. Now, if the quests aren't found, we're going to default it to false. Let's see. There we go. Okay, that'll handle that. So now we'll do the same thing for completed. I should have checked the started method here, not the completed. There we go. Okay, and this one's completed, and then failed. All right, so that's it. So now the triggers will test the events to see if the quest has already been completed or not, and then that'll determine other things that can fire. I'll just show you the preloading. We're going to do this necklace, lost necklace quest here. Just 1 second. Okay, had to take a quick break there for a second. All right, so this guy's name is Sal, this first quest person, and he's a human, and he has no vocation. He's level 0. And so what I do is I create that life form, and he's assigned to a party, basically. Every life form in the game is in some kind of party, which makes it into a group. So he first has his lost necklace offer, then the accept. And you can see here's what he will say, and this is what he'll say on the screen when you ask for the quest. It says, "Hello, adventurers. I am in need of service. My wife has lost her precious heirloom, a jeweled necklace that her father gave to her. He recently passed away, so it is her only remaining physical reminder of him. If you can find it and return it to me, I will reward you well. Will you please do this for me, brave adventurers?" So that's going to trigger when you ask. Then if you accept, he'll say, "Excellent, I'm looking forward to seeing you again." Now, if someone else, if you have not completed it and you come back, he says, "Please continue to look for my wife's necklace. I will reward you well." And then if you successfully have the item, then that's when he says, "You found the necklace, blah, blah, blah." You're going to get experience, and I haven't figured out how much yet, but right now I just have it set at 1,000, and you're going to get 500 silver pieces. And then it's going to flag the quest as being done. So you can see, if we look at these last numbers here, there's actually 4 things that are going to fire. First, it'll display text. Second, you're going to get experience. Third, you're going to get silver. And then fourth, it's going to flag that quest as being done. And that's because if it is a shared quest, then everyone else is going to fail at that point. So what I need to do now, which I haven't done yet, and I'm going to do right now, is set the requirements on this. So we use what I call a requirement type set. And we're going to add that right here. So let's take a look at how we want to do this. We need one that has where it has item. So find event action type. It's actually trigger type. Requirement type. I'll get it out. Requirement type. think it's has item. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I need to find, the requirement type of has item. Okay, so let's put that on here. Has item. And actually, we want to also make sure the quest has been accepted and started. So we're going to put 2 requirements. So that's the first one, has item. Come on, Eclipse. It's doing some garbage collection. Java has a garbage collector. It runs behind the scenes. There's something else going on here too, though. It shouldn't be that slow. I got to debug that at some point. Okay, so we're also going to do quest has been started. And what we're doing is just adding them to the array here. So we had 2 requirement types. And I could keep adding more if I wanted. You know, I could add in 8 different requirement types in order for this quest to be completed. But all I'm doing right now is making sure that the item is set. Okay, so now we don't want it to be an or. We want both conditions to be true. And we're going to do a requirement type value that's not a number. So this will be the ID of the item itself, the necklace itself. Lost necklace ID, which I have yet to create. That has to be created. Now, I'm doing this, as I've shown before, in what I call a preload area, where I'm preloading all this stuff into the database. So once the game is actually created and online and live and people are playing it, I'm going to be using some other tools that I programmed to do it, probably with a graphical interface or something. But for now, just to preload all kinds of special quests and stuff, I can just do it this way. Okay, so need to create the necklace, and we also need to set the requirement type value of the quest ID here. Which I don't have until later in the code. So I'm going to put a little to-do message here. Okay, so now we need to create this necklace, and we need to place it somewhere in the game world. Now I could either put it in someone's inventory, you know, I could actually have a monster have it, or I could hide it somewhere and make it difficult to find. Or it could even be in a shop. Like maybe someone pawned it and put it in a shop, and there it is. That's what's going to be so cool about this is, like, let's say you're not on the quest and you find this item and you take it to a store and you sell it. It's still the same item. It's going to have its same unique ID. And so let's say then you go on the quest and you just happen to buy the necklace from the store, which that's not where it originally was found, but you find it and you bring it to them, you'll still complete the quest, which I think is going to be awesome. So that's how dynamic all these quests are going to be. It's going to be very flexible, and the game's going to handle all these different scenarios. But let's get this created. Now I have what I call the game engine generator. I think that's what it's called. Game engine generation. Okay. I think I have a bunch of create items in there. No, there's another class I have then. Game engine item. That's what it is, game engine item. So I'm just creating a bunch of different methods in there for things that I'm going to commonly create. And so let's do our necklace. Let's insert necklace. But I don't want it to be applied to a given person. I want the item itself to be created, but it to not be assigned to anybody. So I'm actually going to call a different method here. Let's create a new method called create item. Copy and paste that code. Instead of taking the item type itself, I'm going to pass in a string, a name. Item type name. Oops. Okay. Structure points, weight, okay. All right, and that's the method I'm going to call now. Create item. A necklace. And we're going to give this a specific name. It's going to be called, once it's identified, Sal's lost necklace. And the unknown name is just going to be necklace. Worth, we'll make it worth 300. That's copper pieces. Structure points 1. Weight 0.01. Actually 0.1. Charge is 0. Size factor 1. Okay, so that will create the item. Lost necklace. Excellent. Okay, so we've created the necklace. I need to place it somewhere. I haven't done that yet. So the item exists, but you have no way of really getting it into your hands because I haven't placed it on the game world yet. And I'm not going to tell you where I'm doing that. So someone will eventually, once the game's live, will know about this quest, but they won't know where the necklace is. So there you go. So that's probably enough for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.